families against police violence. But first and foremost, I am the fiance and the mother of Justin Tigan, who was brutally beat to death by the St. Paul Police August 19, 2009, and thrown inside of a trash dumpster. I am here today to stand in solidarity with the family of Amir Locke. Today marks the 1-year anniversary that Amir was shot while in his sleep. We are here to stand in solidarity with his family because here we are a year later and no charges was brought against the officers that took the life of Amir. It's not fair and it's not right what many families have had to face here in the state of Minnesota. We want accountability and we want justice for Amir and all of the stolen lives that have been stolen here in this state and around this country. We are in a state of emergency and we cannot allow this type of behavior to happen and no one is held accountable. We are here standing in the state capitol where they have had a chance to pass meaningful legislation. They have had a chance to listen to the cries of the community and the cries of the families who have lost their loved ones. And they have refused time and time again to make those changes. They are piddling around and we need the no-knock warrant bill passed now. We will no longer stay quiet and suffer in silence as this behavior and this cruelty and evil that has been inflicted on people in the community to continue. So we want the answers for a lot of the families that can't even get the answers that they deserve, and when they do find out that the officers did this, they won't hold them accountable. And we need that to happen today. So now we will call forward the family of Amir Locke. We will first have his mother, Karen Locke. Thank you. Karen Wells.
It used to be Karen Locke. It's Karen Wells now. First and foremost, I want to say, I want us to take 9 seconds because that's how many seconds that it took for them to take our baby boy out off this earth. I need everybody to just bow their heads and close their eyes for 9 seconds. Thank you. First, I want to say that this has been a long road. I can't believe that today marks a year that there were no charges brought against our son, Amir Locke. Amir was a victim. To be honest with you, I'm tired of talking. This has been a long road for me. It hasn't been easy to know that the only thing that I have left are his ashes, baby shoes, a baby book, text messages, a voicemail, and memories. Amir should be here. But I just want to let you all know that he sent me a message before I showed up today. So actually Amir is here. He's standing here right with us right now. And he's looking at everybody and he's smiling and he knows that with me as his mother and Andre Locke Sr. as his father and with all of our family members and friends, he will get justice. Justice will be served for Amir. Usually I'm not at a loss for words, but this is really draining. I'm tired. I've been crying since Andre called me at my job. There's not a day that goes by that I don't say my son's name. I don't have a conversation with Amir. I don't look at his pictures. This is insane what is going on in the state of Minnesota. I'm standing here with other families that some of you may not even be aware of, where their loved ones was gunned down, shot like it didn't even matter, killed by the police department in the Twin Cities. no matter how tired I get, I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna continue to fight for my son. Amir was a fighter, I'm a fighter, his dad's a fighter, his older brother's a fighter, and his niece, only niece, is a fighter. And she wants to let everybody know how she feels about her uncle. And then she also wants to sing a song for him. And at this time, I've said a lot. I've been talking since day one, so I'm gonna turn this over to my granddaughter, Zuri, and let her say what she needs to say for her uncle. And then also she's gonna sing a song.
Okay, let's go, Zuri. All right.
Amir Locke, what's his name?
Amir Locke!
Amir Locke, what's his name?
Amir Locke!
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
What's his name?
Amir Locke!
Say his name.
Amir Locke!
What's his name?
Amir Locke!
Say his name.
Amir Locke!
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. And you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Even though I don't see when you work it, even though I don't feel when you work it, you never stop working, you never stop. Jesus, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keepers, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
Justice for Amir Locke.
Thank you, and that is the truth. He shines the light on the dark, and the dark has been shined on Minnesota. We will now call forward the father of Amir Locke, Andre Locke. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today. We are here to, 1 year later, who could imagine that we would be here 1 year later talking about our son who lost his life, tragically, executed. We will speak the facts today. No hearsay, the truth needs no support. I start off by saying, for each of those that have lost their loved ones, there's quite a few of them, but for those here that have lost their loved ones, put your hand up. Put your hand up. Put your hand up. These are people that are not talked about also, even though we're here to honor Amir, but Justin Tigan, Courtney Williams, Cole Heisler, Jeffrey Smith, Marcus Golden, Jamar Clark, Cordell Handy. These are some of the names that don't get recognition at all for losing their lives. But their lives was also taken tragically by the police in the state of Minnesota. So I'm going to go here. Hold on 1 second. The Word of God says, my flesh, my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. I say that to say that my son Amir was extremely strong. They took a warrior. They took our son. But this warrior that I know and that you actually had a chance to witness by seeing the footage yourself, the small footage that you saw yourselves, there was very little that they released in the beginning. Actually, it took them 2 months to release the information. Not only did it take the Minneapolis PD 2 months to release the information with all of the footage, but also it took them 2 months for us to even see our son. Why did they stop us from being able to see our son? It makes you angry because you already know it's an anatomy of a cover-up. We're gonna speak the truth here today. We're gonna speak facts. Here are the facts for the public to know. Amir was not a suspect. I'll say it again, he was not a suspect. They knew St. Paul, Minneapolis, they both shared the blood of Amir. This is on both of their hands. They knew that the subject, the target of the initial warrant, did not live in the unit and was not in the unit. They were aware of that already. So 7 stories in the sky. Picture that. Not 7 feet, not 90 feet, not 30 feet. 7 stories with one way in and one way out for a search for property. A search for property. So aggressive. Barbarians. The way that they carry things out. So disrespectful and discerning of our son. They didn't give him a chance. He didn't have a chance. But I'm gonna tell you this though. Keith Ellison even said that Amir is a good kid. He's a good person. He comes from a good family. He also said that Amir was in legal possession of a firearm. His words. Here are the facts. The facts are, Amir was very strong. After being shot 5 times, not 3, 5 times. 3 in his chest, 1 in his wrist, 1 through his chin. 5 times. And I want you to hear me good. After being shot 5 times, Amir tried to get up from being disoriented. He tried to get up and defend himself some kind of way. I saw the courage of a warrior, my son. After being shot 5 times, Amir was coming off of that floor. He was coming off of that floor. The disgraced officer knew it was about to be on. He knew that it could be an issue because they took an innocent life. Didn't have a clue about under the blanket. Here are the facts. It was so disgraceful. I do apologize for this going in and out. Here we are. You came across a no-quit warrior, knowing he had a clear advantage in numbers. Why they yelled out, stop moving, calm down. With this blanket still over his head after being shot 5 times. He never was able to see what was coming. He was fighting after being shot. While not being rendered any first aid. They didn't do anything to render him first aid. They didn't administer first aid right away. It wasn't immediately. Amir was experiencing cardiac trauma because his heart and vital organs were fatally damaged. I stand here to say that my son stood for something. That my son, even in his moment of being disoriented and not knowing what was taking place, and knowing that his life was leaving his lifeless body, still tried to get up. He died within 9 seconds. I mean, it sounds like I said so much, but it was so very little time. From 6:48, I believe, he was killed within 3 seconds. He was shot, I'll say that. He was shot within 3 seconds of them entering the apartment on a search for property. It took them several days to release that information to the public. Amir was a bright light. Amir was a wonderful human being. He was everything to each of us. But most of all, he was our son, this entire family's son, cousin, loved him. Justice for Amir Locke.
Justice for Amir Locke.
Justice will prevail.
Justice will prevail.
Justice for Amir Locke.
Justice for Amir Locke.
I appreciate you. We appreciate this conference. Thank you. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. He didn't do anything wrong.
Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. We will now, we will have to keep everyone else that comes up our comments brief, because unfortunately we only have an hour here at the Capitol today. So please keep your comments brief, but we will call up the other families that came here today to stand in solidarity with Amir Locke's family, and I will just call out each of their names. But it is very important that we always recognize all of the families, because we are in a state of emergency, and we want to show that we are in a state of emergency because we don't want the media or the legal system to minimize the damage that have been done here in the state of Minnesota, along with Amir Locke and Dante Wright and George Floyd, the cases that they had no choice but to recognize. But there's a whole bunch of families that have been slain and a whole bunch of murders that have happened prior to. So we have the family of Justin Tigan, Marcus Golden, Kobe Heisler, Howard Johnson, that are all here today to stand in solidarity with Amir Locke's family. And I'm afraid if I miss any other Tekle Sundberg, that are here to stand with Amir Locke's family. If any of those families want to say any brief words, please come forward. We also have, Monique Johnson, the mother of Howard Johnson, just killed about 2 months ago, ran over and shot by the St. Paul Police. Thank you.
Justice for Amir Locke. I just want to say briefly that a mother is supposed to die before her child. He's supposed to be burying me, and he's supposed to be burying you. What's going on in the state of nationwide, because it's going on nationwide, but in Minnesota, the way that these police officers can walk around and do whatever they want to do, say whatever they want to say, and treat us like dirt, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. And just like Karen said, we're going to fight for our kids, and we're going to show up, and we're going to make sure that they get justice.
Thank you, Monique. We will now have the mother of Kobe Heisler, killed by Brooklyn Center Police. He had autism and he was having a mental health crisis. The call was reversed. The officers were told not to come out. They still came out, and ultimately they murdered Kobe. And this is his mother, Amity Demick. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out. I am here to stand in solidarity with this whole family, Amir Locke, Senior, Karen Wells, and all the family members, the sister I met, and all the family members I haven't met yet. I'm so very sorry. I'd like to tell you something like it gets easier, but about 3.5 years in, it doesn't. If anything, I think it gets harder. We need the no-knock warrant bill passed.
Yes.
We need all the community safety bills that we're trying to get passed. People have a right to be sleeping on a couch. Believe it or not, a young black man has a right to have a gun next to him when he's sleeping, just like young white men do. Don't act like he did something wrong. Just like my son didn't do anything wrong but try to leave because they were came after a resolved situation, didn't know what to do, so just sat there until he got up to run. And then tased him, and then shot him, including in the head when he was down. 6 times. In front of his grandmother in his house. When we ask for these community safety measures, it's clearly to try to make everybody safe, but also to make things fair. Because when you have mental health issues, or especially if you're a person who is black or brown, it's just dangerous for us these days. And the way that the law is imparted and the way that the officers come isn't fair. And I'm so sorry. And I stand with you, and I know that Karen and I and all the other mothers and all the other families, we will continue to fight. You guys messed with the wrong families. Got nothing better to do.
I will now call forward Monique Collier-Doty, the aunt of Marcus Golden, who was shot in the back of the head by the St. Paul Police Department while trying to just get away from the harm that he was afraid of. Thank you. This is his aunt.
Thank you, Toshira, and thank you everyone for coming out. I just really came to show my love and support for justice for Amir Locke, and I ask that the media please tell his truth. Please tell his truth. We live in a society that's rooted in anti-blackness, and we have to bear the brunt of that fruit as people of color and these families that are here today. So please tell his truth. And I have to say, if nothing else, when we leave here today, we should be encouraged by this baby right here. He is a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness out of the mouths of babes. Let us be encouraged today. And for the families going through this trouble and this turmoil, the word says he binds up the brokenhearted and healeth their wounds. It does get better. It does get better if you stay on the word and stay rooted. He promised that. So I just want to encourage you today. You keep holding on to God's hand and he will hold on to yours. It will get better. I've lived it. I'm a witness. And he will make a way out of no way. That's what he's done for my nephew. I declare and decree he will do that for your son as well. And our families, we will have change in this state of Minnesota and the United States. We are ground zero. We are nationally known as ground zero. For any place for your son to be murdered right here, you got people who will back you up. We know how to do it. I'm the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Minnesota and Black Lives Twin Cities Metro. We've got Communities United Against Brutality over here, Michelle Gross. We have multiple agencies. I'm also with Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. This is what we do. We fight, and if nothing else, the police will know that they've been in a fight. Right? Because you know what we do? We run up their payroll. We get out in the streets and shut it down. We get on the freeways. We take arrests because it's necessary for change. Sacrifice is necessary. So my people, prepare to sacrifice because we are fighting for change.
So we have a little bit of a change of schedule, but before anyone else that I have speak, I have to call up Michelle Gross with Communities United Against Police Brutality, and then we will hear from the representatives that are trying to get this bill passed. And if you can, please keep your comments brief. Thank you. Michelle Gross with Communities United Against Police Brutality, who has fought tirelessly for our families and for the truth to be told for all of our families. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to speak briefly. What happened to Amir Locke did not need to happen. We brought a bill in 2021 that would have been a very modest bill to end most no-knock warrants, but not all, and to also require a reporting requirement. At the end of the session, and keep in mind that this was not that long after George Floyd had been killed, at the end of the session, in the conference committee, our bill was watered down and turned into a just reporting bill and no ban on no-knock warrants. And what we now know is that Hennepin County, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office executes hundreds of these warrants a year. And the city of St. Cloud executes hundreds of these warrants as well as Minneapolis. So we know that this stuff is still going on. We brought that bill in 2021. Just a few short months after that bill went into effect, in 2022, Amir was killed. We immediately brought a bill that would totally ban no-knock warrants, totally ban them, except in extremely rare circumstances. What happened? Made it through all the committees, got to the House floor, and I'm going to say it because I'm going to put the word out there. Melissa Hortman held our bill and killed it to keep it from going through to get a vote at the House floor. Why? Oh, everybody's running for office now, and we don't want the Democrats to look like they're anti-police. It ain't anti-police to stop them from murdering people. It is not anti-police to stop the worst abuses of policing. It is outrageous. And so I say, and I mean, we have many good colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I thank them for what they do. But I'm not going to be kind when it comes to both parties, because I say a pox on both houses. If you can't get your act together and give us the legislation we need, pass the bills that we need so that everybody is safe, not just white folks in this state, but everybody is safe, then get the hell out of office. Thank you.
We will now have a representative that is here trying to pass an accountability bill. Maria, say a few words, and some other representatives that are fighting along with her. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Representative Maria Isa Perez Vega, and I stand here with my fellow colleagues, Representative Breon Curran and Representative Samakab Hussein. We shouldn't be here doing this. I'm tired. I'm tired of having to hear the trauma and feeling the trauma of our families and our friends in our village. And most importantly in this state, that it's an epidemic. And a year ago, I contacted the family of Amir Locke because I know his father since I was a teenager in our beautiful hip-hop community of this Twin Cities, our music community that raised me, and I know his uncle, Anthony, because it's a shock that this continues to happen. It shouldn't just be that it affects the families, it should be waking up to everybody that's in this building right now, that's outside. We don't like to protest. We don't like to be singing our pain. We want to celebrate birthdays. We want to celebrate the love that Amir Locke had, that Philando Castile had, that Big Floyd had every time he greeted us through them doors, that Jamar Clark had as an opportunity. These are children, these are fathers, these are mothers and daughters, the list of names. There's services that need to be provided. Well, there's services that need to be provided to our community and to our state, and that is called justice. Things didn't pass, and yeah, there's new folks in the House, right? And we didn't run to say that we're running to change things. No, we are working to do what we can by any means necessary. This role and these seats, they can be given to other people, but the people are the power. The power is the people, and we hold power when we say his name. When we say their name, say Amir Locke. Amir Locke, and we're working on justice, and I want you to know Representative Breon Curran, who is going to be the author of the no-knock warrant, is pushing for this. She knows, and she's here fighting, and we are all here fighting together because it is our community calling for justice. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Representative Maria. We appreciate you. We will now have, if you can, because we only have until 5, everybody, we will have the uncle of Amir Locke, Andrew Tyler. Thank you.
Just really quick and brief, and this is for the media. This is the ask. Revisit the 56 body cams, Mr. Keith Ellison. This is the ask. Revisit the 56 56 body cams and show excessive force on the news. Revisit the 56 body cams, 2 of which are encrypted that we don't have. Revisit the 56 body cams. Very important. Don't tell us that Graham versus Connor stops you from doing your job. Don't tell us that you can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, reasonable doubt through the eyes of the officer. Revisit. This is our ask. Revisit the 56 body cams. Fire Mark Hanneman. Get rid of those officers that went into that unit. St. Paul, you are equally held accountable. Equally held accountable. You issued the warrant. Minneapolis carried it out. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Revisit the body cams. This day is very important. It marks a year in which I had to hear my brother's voice. I had to hear my sister's voice. Hear them cry out. Hear him on his way down. Do you know we don't have the car back yet? Do you know we don't have Amir's car back yet? 20 days in the Tyree Nichols case to get rid of those officers and fire everybody. We do not have his possessions back yet. Give us back our nephew, our mother, our son, our cousins' possessions back. Revisit that body cam footage, and Lord willing, we'll have justice for Amir Locke the right way. The right way. Print that in your newspapers. Knock on Keith Ellison's door and tell him to revisit those body cams and do what he needs to do to make us move forward with this family and satisfy this family. Thank you in advance. God bless you.
Thank you, Andre. We will now have another family that showed up, the mother of Tekle Sundberg, killed by Minneapolis Police Department.
My son was in the midst of a mental health crisis. He was executed by the Minneapolis Police Department snipers 6 hours after the initial call. They did nothing to de-escalate the situation. They lied. They murdered him. A couple weeks ago, there was a person also suffering from a mental health crisis. He shot an officer in White Bear Township 3 times. He was white, and he came out arrested with tear gas used to get him out of his apartment. They refused tear gas in Tekle's case. Why? Why? Because he was black. Minnesota, you're better than this. White folks, stand up, call it out. Stand up for the truth. We all need to be safe in Minnesota. Everyone deserves the same treatment. Everyone wants to get home safe.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, we're gonna have a family member add one detail.
I just wanted to point out that there's a connection between Amir Locke's death and my little brother Tekle Sundberg's death, and that Aaron Pearson and Zachary Seraphine, the officers who killed my little brother, they participated in the murder of Amir Locke as well. And Aaron Pearson called Amir's killing a good job. So just know this reflects on the character of the officers that are showing up and responding to these calls.
Thank you. We will now call forward, well, actually, before we call my brother John McClellan up, we have something that was sent on behalf of Emmett Till's family. We know through history that Emmett Till was brutally lynched, and we call these murders modern-day lynchings at the hands of law enforcement. So his family has sent a short note to read. Our hearts and prayers are with you on this day. 1 year anniversary of the loss of life for your precious son, brother, cousin, and nephew, Amir. We stand in solidarity with you and your entire family as we move forward towards truth, justice, and accountability. We will always say his name and assist you in making sure his death is not in vain. Justice for Amir Locke and all stolen lives. May God be with you. In spirit and love, Deborah Watts of the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. We will now call forward the President of Minnesota Justice Coalition, Johnathon McClellan. Thank you.
My name is Johnathon McClellan, President of the Minnesota Justice Coalition. We are part of a collective of organizations that work with family and community to draft and advance legislation and other policy initiatives here at the Capitol in St. Paul and in Washington, D.C. We would like to send our love and support to the family of Amir Locke, who shouldn't have to shoulder this burden. It has been 1 year since Amir Locke was murdered by the Minneapolis Police Department. A group of men dressed up like G.I. Joes entered the home, and while Amir Locke was asleep on the couch in a series of bad decisions, killed him with 5 gunshots. In the 2021 session, when we heard the no-knock legislation, I testified and used the Breonna Taylor case as one of my many examples of no-knocks gone bad. It was stated that this is in Kentucky. And then the legislator passed a watered-down version, which we objected to. This version gave the appearance that the legislature had addressed the issue. And here we are, almost 2 years later, from that testimony, and we are faced with the tragic loss of Amir Locke, who was 22. He was not the subject of the warrant that took his life in a no-knock warrant gone bad. His case should send chills down our spine that an innocent person could be shot and killed in their home while waking up from sleeping on the couch or laying on their bed, doing something anyone else would do. An interesting fact to the shooting of Amir Locke was that one of the officers on the SWAT team was the same officer that shot Soren Stevenson in the eye, costing the city of Minneapolis $2.4 million. Where is the accountability? We don't need cops suited and booted in military gear like they're fresh out of a Call of Duty game. What we need is law enforcement to protect and serve, not service up in body bags. The use of a no-knock warrants does just that. In the current no-knock Minnesota statute, it does not discuss or consider innocent people that might be in the home, such as children, the elderly, or vulnerable individuals. It also does not consider the mental health concerns or cognitive or physical disabilities of the people residing in the home, or if the subject is even present at the time of the executing of the warrant. Some legislators are stuck in the past, unable to evolve in their way of thinking. We are not in the Nixon era or the war on drugs era. This outdated tool has no place in 2023. What has changed since the murder of Breonna Taylor and Amir Locke? Nothing. The Minnesota Justice Coalition stands with the families who demand change and with the people of Minnesota hoping for a change in policy. The bedrock of good policy needs to be built on transparency, accountability, and justice. The banning of no-knocks is good policy. Our police departments need to evolve, and so do the tools that we give them. We must identify best practices and make policy changes for the greater good of all Minnesota. The banning of no-knocks has been identified, and we must act. The reality is when we fail to listen, when we fail to act, our community and our community members suffer. The Minnesota Justice Coalition has drafted legislation banning no-knocks and put guardrails around obtaining warrants in general. Legislators need to do the right thing. The banning of no-knocks is not a political issue, it's common sense. Shirley Chisholm once said, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, you make progress by implementing ideas." The ideas are here. We've been preaching them, we've been saying them while we're marching, and we're still waiting. Do your job.
Thank you, John. We will now have my brother, Marques Armstrong, the husband of Nakima Levy Armstrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Toshira. Thank you, Johnathon. Thank you to everyone who spoke today. I heard one person say, "We don't want to be here." I know some of y'all think that we like doing this. I'm going to tell you we don't. I really want to be at home reading my books and doing the homework with my 5-year-old daughter. is what I want to be doing. I want to do what you do when you go home. But instead, even though I have not, to my knowledge, lost a family member to police violence, I have lost a loved one in the community because my community is my family. And so I feel the pain that they feel. And so I want to speak directly to our president, Joe Biden, and the rest of the Democrats who control everything here in Minnesota right now. We have given you our votes time and time and time again. This is the moment where you can give us a return on our investment. Pass these police accountability bills that we are working tirelessly to put together to end this violence, to not just keep us safe, but to keep every single citizen of the state of Minnesota safe. So Joe Biden, there was a point in time back in the past, everything's recorded, you called certain individuals super predators. So just a month ago, we saw what I consider super predators, 5 of them, 7 of them, beat a man to death. So I wonder if you consider them to be super predators. I wonder if you consider these militarized police departments to be super predators. Because to me, they're gangsters. And what do y'all do to gangsters? You'll lock them up. So do your job, as Johnathon said. I want every person who is considered an activist, who has taken to the streets, who have taken to the phone, who are on social media, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to keep the fight going. I want to encourage you to keep boots on the ground. Because I know, and if you haven't thought about it, those officers, those 5 officers, 6, 7, all of them need to be fired. But the 5 who were fired, I want you to know and feel and take some ownership in that. Because if we weren't here in Minnesota carrying the fight, leading the charge, I don't believe that would have happened. So we led the way. You led the way. The families, each and every one of you who have lost a loved one, you have led the way. So this fight is not in vain. We will win. We will win. In the end, we will win. And to the baby, that young person, my goodness gracious, thank you so much for singing that song, because as I continue to listen and continue to watch, it becomes so heavy. I sat on my couch this morning. Thank you so much for that beautiful song. You gave me courage, you gave me strength, you gave me hope. Thank you. I sat on my couch this morning reflecting on Tyre Nichols. And then I remembered that this press conference was today. I started to get heavy. I started to get heavy, as in fact, tears began to roll down my eyes. Because here we are again. And unfortunately, I believe we're going to be here again. Because the things that we need done have not been done. But there is an opportunity, Democrats. You have an opportunity to do the right thing, to serve the people who invest their votes in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marques.
I'm sorry, my wife tried to get here, Marques Armstrong. I am here representing the Racial Justice Network and just the Black community in general.
Thank you, Brother Marques. We will have a few more words from the mother of Amir Locke, Karen Wells. Thank you.
This message is for Mayor Fry, Mayor Carter, Keith Ellison, Governor Walz, President Biden, Kamala Harris, and I bet touched you both a few months ago, me and Andre Sr. What I want to tell y'all right now is I'm receiving it from my son, our son, Amir Locke. When you see me and when you see his father, you're going to see all of us. Everybody back here, and there's more of us. Understand, the day that he crossed over, his grandmother, Viola, my mother, was there to receive him, and so was Andre Sr.'s mom, Grandma Duchess, to receive him. Y'all better be glad that those two women are on the other side of the world, and they are no longer living here in the flesh, because they did not play about none of their grandkids, and they did not play about Amir. Amir was very spiritual, he was very humble, and he was very wise to be 22 years old for only 2 months. He didn't even get to live out the full year of being 22. Not only do I stand here right now, but when you came for our son on 2/2/22 at 6:48 a.m. in the morning in that apartment, you came for not only me and his father and his older brother, and he has he has a sister, and he has brothers too, younger brothers, and he has the one that was next to me, which is always by me, his niece. You came for our ancestors. So if you believe in a higher power, you understand when we say we are going to get justice, we are going to get justice by any means, and I mean by any means necessary. Take it the way you want. Google what I said. I don't care. This is what you made me become when you stole our son while he was sleeping. And then you have the nerve to disrespect him and lay on his back. Woo, Lord, I haven't even watched the video yet, because if I do, I'm not trying to wear orange is the new black. For my baby, I will, and I mean it. This is the pain of a mother. I didn't even know Amity. I didn't know Monique. I didn't know the other Monique. I didn't know Cindy. I didn't know Valerie. All these mothers, we had to meet through tragedy. This is disgusting. I am sick and tired of Minnesota. Get it together, and as a matter of fact, the next time y'all go in legislation, change y'all slogan from Minnesota nice to Minnesota lies. That's what y'all need to do first and foremost. So at the end of the day, I will not shut up. I'm not going nowhere. You came for our son, you came for me. Karen Wells is here to let you know Amir was a rock. Amir was my baby boy. And at the end of the day, I'm his big dog, and I'm coming for everybody that came for him. The blood is on y'all hands. Keith Ellison, Keith, Vicky down the hallway, I don't really care. You better revisit those body cams. We're not asking you, we're not begging you, we are telling you, do your damn jobs in the Twin Cities. Get it done, because if you don't, I ain't got nothing but time on my hand. I might even run next year. Who knows? I might have to come here and clean up the mess that Mayor Fry can't clean up. And if he needs an assistant and he's hiring, tell him Karen Wells is fit for the damn job.
I want to say that justice delayed is justice denied. An injustice done to one of us is an injustice done to all of us. That is the mindset that we must have. We have to believe that Amir was our son, that Amir was our nephew, that Amir was our little cousin, that Amir was our brother, that he was somebody that we loved. We have to treat it that way before it is someone that you love. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They cover up all of these murders, but they can never cover it up from God. He was there and he's seen it all. And all of them, whether we get a chance to see it, and that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting that we will get a chance to see justice for each and every one of these cases. We will not lay down. We will not be quiet.